Hi, 6th graders. This is Mrs. Buddy here, and today we're going to begin the project, the unit, Shrinking the Human Footprint. This is the first lesson. How big is the human footprint? We have some essential questions for this unit. They are, how do humans impact the earth? Can humans meet their needs while reducing negative impacts on the earth? And how can we shrink the human ecological footprint? Our enduring understanding for this unit is human activity significantly impacts Earth's systems. Human population growth will continue to increase the negative impacts of human activity on the Earth unless we develop more sustainable ways to meet human needs. We have two statements. They are human activity significantly impacts Earth's systems and human population growth will continue to increase the negative impacts of human activity on the earth unless we develop more sustainable ways to meet human needs. Here is a description of our unit. All human activity has an impact on Earth's systems. In the past 100 years, human populations have grown faster than ever before, placing additional strain on the earth. In this project, you will develop a slideshow to educate your community on a human impact and offer a suggestion for how humans can shrink our ecological footprint while still meeting human needs. Here is an entry event slide presentation. We're going to go through the first 11 slides today. How big is the human footprint? How do your actions impact the environment? Try to generate as long a list as possible. Think about this: the things you buy, the things you throw away, and the things that you use. How about the things you eat or drink? The buildings you use, the way you get from place to place. Go ahead and pause the video now so that you can make a long list of actions and how they impact your environment. I hope you put a lot of thought into your list. Right now, we're going to watch the video, Big Changes in the Big Apple.
The environment, they're usually talking about what we generally call the natural environment. You know, the outdoors, nature, the wild. But for most of us, our everyday environment looks a lot like where I am in this room. My environment is this space around me, my home, the Crash Course studio, and the city I live in. And even when I'm outside, I'm in a space that has been engineered by other people. Obviously, these spaces aren't exactly natural. I mean, the grocery store didn't pop out of the ground like a spring daisy. No. The grocery store, my home, this room, these places are made by people. To make our human environment, we've taken resources from other parts of the world, and in the process, we've altered the environment that used to be there. These are examples of humans changing the space around them. So today, let's explore the many ways that humans change their environment. Our effects on the environment are almost so obvious that we might actually miss them. But they're important to consider. Think about your life. What pieces of it are a result of human intervention? Let's walk through your day. In the morning, you wake up in bed in a home that's made from natural resources, like wood, taken from other parts of the world and shaped by people. You go to brush your teeth, and the water coming out of your tap is a result of humans changing the water flow. Your water probably came from a river or an aquifer a few miles away. Trust me, that water didn't naturally flow into your home. It was directed there by people. Now it's time for breakfast. That food was grown on land that was altered by human hands. Maybe some forest was cleared to make space for the farmland. Wild animals were pushed off of that land, and some new ones probably came in. The crops were probably watered by irrigation. Again, the action of moving water from one place to another, and the plants themselves wouldn't be there if it weren't for people. Then you ride your bike to school on the sidewalk. The pavement is an alteration of the environment. When it rains, water slides across its surface and down into drains instead of sinking into the ground, where it would replenish aquifers and water plants that once grew there. Wow! of your day and already you've totally changed the world. Here's the thing though. People change the environments that they live in, definitely. But everything that's alive changes its environment. All of the plants, animals, even tiny bacteria have an effect on their environment too. It's just that people do it in a particularly intense way. Wherever there are people, there are changes to the environment. For an extreme example, let's take a look at a familiar place. Do you recognize it? Probably not. This is what scientists think this place looked like over 400 years ago. What does it look like today? That's right. It's New York City, baby. About 9 million people now live here. But it wasn't always this way. Before 1609, the island of Manhattan was inhabited by the Lenape, a Native American tribe. The Lenape ate oysters and clams and burned parts of the forest to clear space for crops. They changed the environment too, of course. Remember, every living thing has an impact on its environment. But when Europeans first came to New York in the 1600s, it began an incredible transformation. At first, the settlers carved roads into the landscape. Then they built farms and fortifications. These seemingly small changes to the geosphere affected the ranges of animals in the area and changed the plants that grew there. And eventually, after a couple hundred years and a whole lot of development, what was once mostly wilderness, forests, wetlands, grasslands, and beaches became paved with over 9,600 kilometers of streets. Once a habitat for beavers, elk, turkeys, and black bears has become home to people, rats, cats, dogs, and pigeons. People didn't just change the landscape. By altering the landscape, they changed what animals could survive there. More than 160 kilometers of streams once flowed through Manhattan. Today, New York City's water supply system, delivered to the city through a network of tunnels and aqueducts, stretches over 200 kilometers, delivering more than 3.5 billion liters of drinking water every single day. Want to think about something crazy? Times Square was once a swamp, but we changed that. New York City is an extreme example of humans' ability to change an environment. But you don't have to travel to the Big Apple to see it. The changes are all around you. Almost everything you touch is a result of human innovation acting on the world's natural resources. It's a lot to take in. But remember, we're living things, and we're part of the natural world. And every living thing changes its environment. Next time, we'll look at ways that other living things make their own kind of changes.
Okay, now it's time to share out. Partner up if you're at home. If you're in the classroom, we'll talk in the classroom. Ask your parents or ask your siblings. Now, what is similar or different about your lists? Are there some common categories of ways that you impact the environment? I wonder. Now, what is an ecological footprint? Every living thing impacts their environment. This impact comes from the demands on nature and natural resources that each living thing uses. Humans use a lot of natural resources. Demands on nature, like pollution or trash. Natural resources, land, water, plants, animals, raw materials like wood, oil, or metal. Now, if you add up all the resources and demands on nature it takes to support a person's lifestyle, we call that their ecological footprint. Now, each person has their own ecological footprint. The size of their footprint depends on several lifestyle factors. Different lifestyle factors have a bigger or smaller impact on the earth. You'll get a chance to calculate your own ecological footprint. You will answer questions about your life. Then you will get an estimate for how much of Earth's space is needed to produce the things you use. You will also get an estimate of how many Earths we would need if every person on the planet lived the same way as you. So now it's time to calculate your ecological footprint. You're going to use the resource Footprint Calculator in your project to go to the calculator. If you are not sure about the answer, give your best guess. Now we're going to use our science notebook. You're going to go ahead and you're going to record your Earth overshoot day in the first box or the first line. What is your ecological footprint? And then you're also going to record the number of Earths you require to supply the resources you use. So look at the presentation and you're going to click on the Footprint Calculator. Here's what it looks like. Here's how you're going to calculate your ecological footprint. Go ahead and pause the video, click on the link, and go ahead and calculate your ecological footprint. Now, what is our ecological footprint? The global human population is growing rapidly. Now, think, pair, share. If you are at school, if you're at home, think to yourself, and you can share with a family member. How many people do you think are on the planet right now? And how many more people do you think will be on the planet when you graduate from high school? Take some time to think about that. What is our ecological footprint? There are over 7 billion people alive today and counting. 100 years ago, there were only about 2 billion people. In 2025, it is predicted that there will be more than 8 billion people. Every single day, we break the record for the number of humans alive on the planet at any one moment. The global human population is growing rapidly, but our Earth and its resources stay the same size. Think, pair, share. If you're at school, if you're at home, once again, talk to some family members. How does this affect our collective human footprint? What challenges does this create for humans, for other organisms, for natural systems? Can we shrink our ecological footprint and still meet human needs? Go ahead and pause the video. Now, once again, in this project, you will produce a slideshow about human impact on the Earth. Each person will research and produce a slideshow on a way that humans impact the Earth and one plan for reducing that impact. At the end of the project, we will have ideas for how to minimize human impact. Together, we can educate our family, friends, and community about ways we can reduce human impacts. Now remember these 3 questions throughout this project. How do humans impact the Earth? Can humans meet their needs while reducing negative impacts on the Earth? And how can we shrink the human ecological footprint? Have a great day, 6th graders. I'll see you soon.